Domestic flights resume after 2 months of lockdown on Monday. 532 flights flew on the first day. Strict SOPs and guidelines in place at airports and within planes. Andhra Pradesh will resume domestic flight operations from today. Meanwhile, West Bengal will resume operations from 28th of May. Shramik Express trains for migrant labourers continues. Ministry of Railways has so far transported more than 40 lakh people through Shramik trains. Gujarat, Maharashtra, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh and Delhi run the highest number of trains. Union Railways Minister appeals to states for cooperation. Battle against COVID-19 continues. 57,720 patients have recovered and have been discharged. The recovery rate in the country rises to 41.57%, 77,103 active cases and 4,021 fatalities. Worldwide, the number of coronavirus infection exceeds 54,71,000. Death toll nears 3,50,000 mark. Brazil and Russia follow United States in the number of infection. WHO halts the trial of hydroxychloroquine over safety fears. COVID death toll in the most affected country, United States of America, has crossed 98,000. UK all set to reopen thousands of shops in easing of national lockdown. Foreign visitors to Spain will no longer have to undergo a 2-week quarantine from July 1st. And summer heat sears in most part of northern and central India as the Indian Meteorological Department issues red warning till 28th of May. Peak intensity forecasted for today. Good morning. Welcome to English News. I am Anil Thomas. Now for the stories in detail. After over 60 days, domestic passenger air services resumed on Monday across the country, bringing much cheer to the aviation industry. Strict protocols are in place to make travel safe from both the health and security perspectives. Many flights were cancelled to destinations that are still reluctant to open their air services. A restricted number of flights operated from Mumbai airports and airlines have never been more sanitized than this may well become the norm until the threat of COVID-19 goes away. The Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri tweeted 532 flights and 39,231 passengers on the first day as action has returned to the Indian skies. Let's see that action in our report.
Signaling a major relaxation in the 2-month-old lockdown, domestic passenger flights resumed on Monday from different parts of the country, providing much relief to people who needed to travel. Air passengers took to the skies with a new protocol in place at airports and on board of social distancing and personal protection. In the national capital Delhi, the first domestic flight took off from the Indira Gandhi International Airport at 4:45 a.m. to Pune, the first domestic flight after 2 months of lockdown. Airports, airlines and passengers all strictly followed the guidelines of the Ministry of Civil Aviation as people boarded their flights.
Situation better है और precautionary तरीके से चीजें सारी maintain हो रही हैं and possibly every kind of student जितने हैं सभी के लिए राहत है कि हमें जाने को मिल रहा है.
Masks, sanitizers and PPEs all added to the safety of passengers and personnel. The airport check-in process, boarding pass and security check were done without any physical contact. Domestic air services began from Lucknow Airport as well. About 20 flights were operated from Lucknow's Chaudhry Charan Singh Airport on Monday. They flew to cities such as Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore and Hyderabad. The Gorakhpur Airport also started flight services. Passengers' hands and shoes were sanitized and thermal screening done as per the new standard operating procedure.
पैसेंजर्स को पहले आते ही उनका बैग सैनिटाइज किया जाता है, फिर उनका हैंड सैनिटाइज किया जाता है, फिर मेडिकल टीम उनका चेकअप करती है. उसके बाद शूज़ सैनिटाइज करके वो टर्मिनल बिल्डिंग में अपना बोर्डिंग पास एक अलग विधि से दिखा के अंदर जाते हैं.
Although Maharashtra showed a reluctance to commence flight operations, flights did fly in and out of Mumbai. However, there were fewer than passengers and airlines had hoped for. Some domestic flights from Chandigarh International Airport also took to the skies after about 2 months. Special attention was given to all procedures from sanitization to social distancing at Chandigarh Airport in Mohali.
ट्रैवल करने का नया तरीका, इट इज़ सेफ फॉर एवरीवन, सो होपिंग के लोग अपनी सेफ्टी को ध्यान में रखते हुए इसको फॉलो करेंगे एंड ऑपरेशंस विल रिज्यूम टू नॉर्मल इन सम टाइम.
In Madhya Pradesh, domestic flights started from Indore airport after 62 days. A total of 8 flights operated for Mumbai, Delhi and Hyderabad on the first day. Air services also started from the Ahmedabad airport. Domestic flight services also resumed from Jammu and Kashmir. Strict protocols were in place at the Srinagar airport. 5 flights reached Jammu but with fewer passengers on board. As per the J&K SOPs, all passengers were tested at the Jammu airport itself. They were very happy that flights had started again after 2 months.
घर जाने जाते हैं सर, घर की बहुत दिक्कत है.
तो घर में जा रहा कितनी खुशी है?
खुशी तो है सर, लेकिन अभी क्वारंटीन भेज रहे हैं 14 दिन के.
Flights from Bhubaneswar to Delhi also started on Monday. Special arrangements were made to protect passengers from possible COVID infection. The airport terminals, lounges, trolleys, X-ray machines and counters were all sanitized. Passenger flights started from Birsa Munda Airport in Ranchi, Jharkhand's capital. An Air Asia flight flew in from Bangalore to Ranchi and then back to Bengaluru again. Indigo flights flew in from Delhi to Ranchi and back to Delhi again. Passenger air services also resumed in Bihar with the Delhi-Patna route operational. Domestic flights started operating from Jaipur Airport with the Bengaluru-Jaipur route being the first to operate. Domestic flights resumed in Kerala as well. Air Asia operated its service from Bengaluru to Kochi. Kerala government has asked incoming passengers to maintain 14 days of quarantine from the date of arrival in the state, and those with symptoms will be sent to either a COVID center or a hospital. Air service also began from Chennai. The first flight from Chennai in 2 months flew to Delhi with 116 passengers on board. Domestic flight services from Hyderabad also resumed on Monday after being closed for 2 months due to the lockdown. In the northeast, flight services started in Assam as well. People travelled following strict guidelines. The Government of India announced last week the domestic air service would be resumed from May 25th under certain guidelines. The Civil Aviation Ministry had announced last week that domestic air service would be resumed from May 25th under certain guidelines. States like Maharashtra, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu have shown reluctance to allow them to restart. Others, including Karnataka, Kerala, Bihar, Punjab, Assam and Andhra Pradesh, have announced their own quarantine protocols for passengers arriving at their airports. Some states have even decided to keep passengers in institutional quarantine centers, while most others have enforced home quarantines. With Bureau Inputs, DD India.
Indian Railways has operationalized 3,060 Shramik special trains till the 25th of May. Across the country, more than 40 lakh passengers have been transported to their home states through the Shramik special trains in the last 25 days. On 24th of May, 237 Shramik trains were running, moving 3.1 lakh passengers. The top 5 states and union territories from where the maximum number originated are Gujarat with 853 trains, Maharashtra with 550, Punjab with 333 trains, Uttar Pradesh with 221 and Delhi with 181 trains. The congestion witnessed in the railway network on the 23rd and the 24th of May is over or resolved. It had occurred due to the convergence of more than 2/3 rail traffic on routes to Bihar and Uttar Pradesh and the late clearance of the terminal due to health protocols that needed to be completed by state authorities. The matter has been resolved through active consultation with state governments and also finding other feasible routes for the journey. In addition to Shramik specials, railways are running 30 pairs of special trains connecting New Delhi from the 12th of May and plans to start 200 more timetable trains from the 1st of June. The second phase of Vande Bharat mission bringing back stranded Indians from Gulf countries will begin today. 8 flights will be operating from the United Arab Emirates over the first day today. Over 1,300 passengers are expected to fly back to India in these flights. Approximately 140 flights from Gulf countries are scheduled in this phase till the 8th of June. Maximum number of flights are scheduled from the United Arab Emirates. A list of 57 flights have been declared as of now from Dubai and other 26 flights from Abu Dhabi. These flights are expected to fly back more than 23,000 stranded and distressed Indians abroad. Union HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank has announced that CBSE will conduct the pending Class 12 board exams at the 15,000 centers across the country instead of the 3,000 planned earlier. The exams, which were postponed due to a nationwide lockdown imposed on March 25th to contain the spread of COVID-19, will now be held from July 1st to 15th. The decision has been taken to ensure social distancing at exam centers and minimize the travel for students. The HRD ministry has also announced that students will appear for exams at schools in which they are enrolled rather than external examination centers. According to the Home Ministry guidelines, there will be no exam center in COVID-19 containment zones, and states will be responsible for making transport arrangements for students to reach their respective exam centers.
सीबीएसई की जो 1 जुलाई से और 15 जुलाई के बीच होने वाली वो परीक्षाएं जो छूट गई थी, वो परीक्षाएं होंगी। और क्योंकि जो परिस्थितियां इस समय पूरे देश और दुनिया में चल रही हैं, उन परिस्थितियों को देखते हुए, अपने छात्र की सुरक्षा को मद्देनज़र देखते हुए हम लोगों ने निर्णय लिया है कि छात्र को दूसरे केंद्र पर न जाना पड़े, वो अपने ही स्कूल में अब अपनी परीक्षाओं को देगा। ये लगभग यदि उसको दूसरे केंद्रों पर जाना पड़ता तो ये 5,500 केंद्र थे, अब जो बढ़ करके 12,000 से 15,000 के बीच हो जाएंगे, ताकि उसको अपने ही स्कूल में बिना किसी दबाव के, बिना किसी तनाव के वो अच्छे से अपने स्कूल में परीक्षा दे सकता है।
Now let's take a look at the COVID impact on India. The active COVID-19 cases across the country rise to 77,103 with 57,720 recoveries or people discharged from hospital after treatment. The fatalities number stands at 4,021. Maharashtra continues to be the epicenter of this particular pandemic in India. Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and Delhi continue to be the worst affected states in the country. Tirupur district in Tamil Nadu, which is famous for its woven fabric production globally, has once again attracted worldwide attention. The manufacturers of face masks in Tirupur meets the need of a group whose needs have been ignored in the midst of the epidemic. The owner of the mask making factory said he was thinking of doing something for the Divyangs. He also got approval from the government to make a special type of mask for the Divyangjans. As a part of the pilot project, 81,000 masks are being distributed to nearly 13,500 persons with disabilities, as well as their parents, other close family members, caregivers, classmates and teachers. This mask will prove to be very useful for the Divyangs. Summer heat is searing in most parts of North and Central India. Meteorological Department has issued a red warning for parts of Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Vidarbha and Telangana for the next 4 to 5 days.
Different scenes and patterns are being witnessed in different parts of the country. On one hand, blistering heat gripped many parts of Uttar Pradesh on Monday, with Allahabad being the hottest place in the state with a high of 46.3 degrees Celsius. On the other side, the northeast region is largely affected with heavy rains. Nagpur recorded the highest temperature of 46.8 degrees Celsius on Monday. Ayanagar in the national capital Delhi recorded 45.6 degrees, while Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh was 46.3 degrees. On Sunday, the temperature soared to 47.4 degrees in Churu, Rajasthan. After rising temperatures in many parts of North India, the Met Office has issued a red alert for the next 2 days in Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and Rajasthan. The IMD has also issued an orange alert for heat wave for eastern Uttar Pradesh. However, they also said that due to the wind blowing from the east, the temperature may start dropping from May 28th.
28 में कम, 29 में ज़्यादा कम होगा, 29 में हीट वेव जाएगा दिल्ली से। 29 तारीख को हमारा जो फोरकास्ट है, 29 को रेन, थंडरस्टॉर्म, डस्टस्टॉर्म का स्पेल शुरू हो रहा है। 30 को भी रहेगा, 30 में बढ़ रहा है, 1 में और बढ़ रहा है, बट 29 को शुरू हो रहा है। और जो विंड है ना, ये जो हीट वेव है वो पश्चिमी हवा आने से हुआ है, वो पश्चिम है जब तक जारी रहेगा हीट वेव रहेगा, क्योंकि राजस्थान वो जो डिजर्ट एरिया है वहीं से आ रहा है, वो यही ही हीट वेव करता है। लेकिन बाद में 28 आफ्टरनून को वो पूर्व से आ रहा है, जो बे ऑफ बंगाल से आ रहा है, जैसे पहले था। तो बे ऑफ बंगाल से जब पूर्व से आएगा तो टेम्परेचर तो डाउन होगा, क्योंकि वो ठंड लेके आता है।
Day temperature rose appreciably over Varanasi, Faizabad and Lucknow divisions, including national capital New Delhi. The weathermen forecast dry weather and warned of heat wave at isolated places over the next few days. Also, people in Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, UP and Gujarat are experiencing torrid times and facing difficulty in stepping out due to extreme heat wave conditions.
जब भी हम घर से बाहर निकलते हैं तो मुंह ढककर निकलना पड़ता है तथा पानी का सेवन कर रहे हैं ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा।
जी गर्मी बहुत हो रही है, बाहर निकला था तौलिया बांध के निकल रहा हूँ और कभी-कभी तौलिया गीला भी कर लेता हूँ।
गर्मी की वजह से काफ़ी लोग परेशान हो रहे हैं, मटके भी ले रहे हैं पानी के लिए भी, कई जगह पानी वानी की व्यवस्था है, कई जगह नहीं है।
Similar conditions have been predicted for the next few days. If we talk about Odisha in particular, the IMD has issued an orange alert. Meanwhile, the monsoon onset over Kerala this year is likely to be in the first week of June and expected to arrive in North India by the end of June. Moving to northeast, heavy to very heavy rainfall with extremely heavy spells is very likely to pummel isolated places in Assam and Meghalaya during the next 24 hours. The IMD said that the intense rainfall is likely at isolated chunks in Arunachal Pradesh, while heavy rainfall is likely at isolated portions over sub-Himalayan West Bengal and Sikkim during the period. Thunderstorms accompanied with lightning is likely at isolated segments over West Bengal, Kerala, Mahe, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikal during the period. With Bikramjit Singh from Delhi, DD India.
Narendra Modi government is due to complete the first year of his second term in office on the 30th of May. On this occasion, BJP workers will organize virtual rallies across the country and carry a letter penned by the Prime Minister about his resolve to make Atmanirbhar Bharat to 10 crore families. There will be a number of programs including 150 press conferences in media centers across the country within a week. Modi's government COVID-19 related efforts, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan and the 20 lakh crore economic package will be the highlight of these programs. BJP workers will also distribute face masks on this occasion. Air Force is all set to operationalize the second squadron of the Made in India LCA or Tejas at Sulur near Coimbatore. The number 18 squadron, codenamed Flying Bullets, will be equipped with the Tejas fighter jets in the FOC or the final operational clearance configuration.
The Air Force is all set to operationalize the second squadron of the Made in India LCA or Tejas at Sulur near Coimbatore on Wednesday. The number 18 squadron, codenamed the Flying Bullets, will be equipped with the Tejas fighter jets in the FOC or final operational clearance configuration. The number 18 squadron was formed on 15th of April 1965 and used to fly MiG-27 aircraft before it got number plated or decommissioned on April 15th, 2016. The squadron was resurrected in April this year at Sulur. The squadron was presented with President's Standard in November 2015. The Flying Bullets actively participated in the 1971 war with Pakistan and were decorated with the highest gallantry award, Param Veer Chakra, which was awarded to Flying Officer Nirmaljeet Singh Shekhon posthumously. Tejas is completely designed and developed and made in India. It is equipped with a fly-by-wire flight control system, integrated digital avionics, multi-mode radar, and its structure is made of composite material. It is the lightest and smallest in its group of 4th generation supersonic combat aircraft. In New Delhi, this is Nandita Dagar for DD News.
Well, swarms of locusts coming from Pakistan have become a cause of concern for India. Officials of the concerned department of the Government of India have sprayed pesticides at over 43,000 hectares of land so far, and more area is being covered. Here's a report by our correspondent, O.P. Yadav.
Amidst corona scare, an army of locusts coming from Pakistan, which entered in Rajasthan earlier, now moving towards Madhya Pradesh, Punjab and Gujarat. The Government of India is keeping a close watch on this swarm of locusts.
पीओ की रिपोर्ट है, उसके अनुसार ये लोकस्ट पहले की सूचना के अनुसार 1 महीना लेट आना था, लेकिन इस बार जिस तरह से पाकिस्तान के अंदर ब्रीडिंग हुई और वो हवा की वजह से इस बार 1 महीना एडवांस में जो सूचना से पहले आ गया, तो फिर भी हमने हमारी तरफ से पूरी यहाँ पर व्यवस्था की है.
According to the Deputy Director of Locust Control Organization, Dr. K.L. Gurjar, the situation is under control. More than 200 officials of the central government along with officials of the affected states have sprayed pesticides at 43,000 53 hectares of land.
नियंत्रण का कार्य जारी है और अब तक 43,053 हेक्टेयर्स में राजस्थान और मध्य प्रदेश में के विभिन्न जिलों में इसका नियंत्रण किया जा चुका है.
So far, pesticides have been sprayed at 38,308 hectares of affected land in 19 districts of Rajasthan, 4,070 hectares of land in the 7 affected districts of Madhya Pradesh, 35 hectares of land in Gujarat's Banaskantha and Kutch districts, and 640 hectares of land in Punjab's Fazilka district. With Bureau Inputs, OP Yadav's report, DD India.
World Health Organization has warned world nations that there can be an immediate second peak of COVID-19 if lockdown measures are withdrawn too soon. Mike Ryan, head of the WHO Emergencies Program, in a press briefing said that countries had to work to ensure there was no immediate second peak of the virus. He further added that countries would have to put in place comprehensive strategies to ensure a downward trajectory of cases of COVID-19. Nepal has reported the 4th death due to COVID-19. According to the Ministry of Health and Population Swab, sample of a 70-year-old patient who had died on the 17th of May tested positive for coronavirus. Meanwhile, 79 more persons tested positive on Monday, taking the total number to 682. On a positive side, 25 persons were cured and discharged from various hospitals of the country on Monday. There are now 566 active cases, while 112 people have recovered. 4 persons have died of COVID-19 so far. Currently, 46,029 people are under quarantine and 566 persons have been kept in isolation across the country. All 7 provinces of the Himalayan nation are affected by COVID-19. Sri Lankan government has said it will review the process of repatriating Sri Lankans stranded abroad, as around 80 returnees were found to be contracted with COVID-19. The move came as 22 out of the 42 who tested positive on Monday and 49 out of the 52 who tested positive on Sunday are returnees from Kuwait. Similar trend has been seen in returnees from other Middle East countries, including United Arab Emirates, where a majority of Sri Lankan expats are employed. The Director General of Health Services, Anil Jaisinghe, said that the government will review the frequency of bringing Sri Lankans back from overseas. He said that with the latest development, it is likely that there will be a gap between flights bringing down Sri Lankans so that the authorities have time to deal with the returnees more closely. A total of 477 patients are currently under medical care, while the number of recoveries in the country stand at 695 out of a total 1,182 cases. 10 persons have died of the virus, with the latest death reported to be of a returnee female from Kuwait who was undergoing quarantine. There are over 1 million Sri Lankan nationals employed abroad, and several have become unemployed due to the COVID crisis. Scores of Colombian migrants, tourists and students remain stranded in Sao Paulo International Airport in Brazil due to the lockdown over COVID-19. Even as these stranded travelers hope to return home, other countries are imposing restrictions on travel from Brazil as it became the world's #2 hotspot for COVID-19 cases. Meanwhile, Brazil surpassed United States in daily coronavirus death toll. Brazil, for the first time, recorded fatalities higher than United States over the last 24 hours. The country registered more than 23,470 deaths so far, with around 3,74,900 cases of infection being reported in Brazil. Spain, meanwhile, has announced its borders will be open to tourists from July 1st. The government has decided to lift a 2-week mandatory confinement for all travelers arriving from overseas starting July 1st. The world's second most visited nation closed its doors and beaches in March to handle COVID-19 pandemic, imposing a 2-week quarantine on overseas visitors. Spain Prime Minister had already announced over the weekend that his nation was ready to welcome some foreign tourists in July. The California Department of Public Health said that businesses and churches, synagogues and mosques can reopen. They can open at 25% occupancy capacity with other restrictions in place. Places of worship in California that were closed under the coronavirus containment rules in the United States may now open. The new rules come amid a time of mounting pressure of state lawsuits from churches and protests. President Donald Trump stressed upon reopening of churches in America to get back to work. But under the new rules, business owners and religious leaders will have to wait for approval from the county health officials before reopening of shops. The global pandemic has killed nearly 1 lakh people in the United States alone. The World Health Organization (WHO) on Monday said it will temporarily drop hydroxychloroquine from its global study into experimental COVID-19 treatments, saying its experts need to review all the available evidence to date. WHO Director General Tedros, while speaking, said that in light of a paper published last week in The Lancet that showed people taking hydroxychloroquine were at higher risk of deaths and heart-related problems, there would be a temporary pause on the hydroxychloroquine arm of its global clinical trial. Other treatments in the trial, including the experimental drug remdesivir and an HIV combination therapy, are still being tested. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of news. But remember, you need to stay safe, you need to stay indoors, and you need to maintain social distancing. Bye for now. Take care.